What is going on, everyone? Nick from Comic Culture here. Time for Nick at Night, my weekly comic book review show. Let's get into the books I read this week. Starting over in DC, we have The Boy Wonder issue number 1, Black Label book from Junie Ba, Chris O'Halloran on the colors, and Aditya Bidikar on the lettering. Now, I picked this one up initially because I knew it was going to be a Damian-focused Robin book, essentially, Boy Wonder, and the cover was pretty interesting, so went ahead and checked this one out, and I would say that it's actually pretty interesting if you're a Damian fan, because this is like spotlighting his position in the family. He kind of compares and contrasts himself with the other Robins, and just kind of, tries to figure out what place he has inside of the Bat family, and it's told through kind of like this backstory or this narration while he's on the patrol right now, and he gets kind of like in a sticky spot with this one bad guy. He gets kind of tied up, and essentially he's just kind of playing him, I guess, and just trying to tell him this little story about where he fits inside of this family. So it is pretty cool. The illustration from Junie Ba is really interesting. The colors are vibrant and they pop, and I think it was a cool, like, introspective look on where he fits inside the family. Like, we obviously have like Dick Grayson, who he had his troubles in the past, and he picked up this new moniker, and so he's doing his own thing right now. Of course, we have Barbara, and we have everybody else. We have Tim and Todd, and just kind of like seeing where they all went, how they became Robins, and the roles that they play, right? And so I think it was pretty cool. And this is also kind of a change of heart for Damian as well. He's like the son of the demon, right? He's supposed to grow up and be this grand thing, but like, what other influences are rubbing off on him from the other members of the Bat family, and like what kind of person is going to emerge out of that at the end. So Boy Wonder issue number 1, not a bad read. I didn't really have a lot of high hopes, to be honest with you, because I don't really read a lot of ancillary titles from Batman, but this one was not too bad. What'd you guys think? Then going over to Batman proper, Chip Zdarsky 147. This series has been getting a lot of flack, to be honest with you. I think it's a great, like, popcorn Batman adventure kind of a book. Of course, we get some cool interactions with like Amanda Waller and Failsafe in here. Amanda Waller has been teased inside of the DC Universe forever now. It seems like whatever role she was going to play, it's been building for like 3 years now, and it's really kind of annoying kind of seeing her dip in, kind of like pushing the pieces around, have whatever influence she has, and then she disappears for dozens of issues, right, in some of these runs. But she's kind of peeking in here and there inside of this one, and we get to see kind of like what her intentions are and how she reacts to this fail-safe Batman. She has some assumptions about what it actually is and how their partnership could blossom, like what they can actually kind of get themselves into and how they can control the world in a way that, Amanda Waller would want to. We also get some revelations on what Failsafe's next step is on evolving its ability to patrol the Gotham, and their sights are way higher than Gotham, right? How do we secure the world? And we get to see exactly what that plan is inside of here. We touch base with a couple other Robins as well. Bruce is kind of going back to basics, developing his new suit, and we get a cool Riddler backstory towards the end of this book as well. So Batman proper still heading in an interesting direction. The art's incredible on this one. I've been having a great time with it. I don't take it too seriously. It's just, again, like a fun popcorn kind of a book, to be honest with you. So let me know if you read it down below. Let's go over to Image Comics real quick with Ain't No Grave issue number 1 from Scotty Young and Jorge Corona. This was a great emotional, heartfelt Western style book, right, from this creative team. And I couldn't imagine a better creative team to tell this story, because there's a lot of heart in Scotty Young's writing when he kind of takes his time. He knows how to pull at the heartstrings of like the family dynamics and things like that, and the lengths that people will go to maintain that, right, to maintain that love that they have within their family. This book here follows a woman who's got a shady, probably bandit past. She's settled down right now with a family. She becomes ill, and she sees kind of like a way out of this, right? Traditional means are not going to be enough. She has this other route she's going to take. She's going to kind of, dig out that chest of guns, get that hat back on, and attack evil head on. And I just loved everything about this, man. The art alone, so gorgeous. It is insane how Corona is able to just like show this landscape, and everything is like over the top, and it just works perfectly. I'm just immediately in love with the character, her intentions, the emotion behind her decisions, and I want her to succeed, and it's going to go to some pretty interesting places, I think. So Ain't No Grave, if you slept on this one, I would recommend picking it up. It was great. Jeff Johns, Gary Frank, Brad Anderson on Geiger. We have issue number 2 from the Ghost Machine universe. The relaunch has like reinvigorated my love for this universe, and we're going to have another familiar character come in the next issue, or so it was hinted at the very back of this issue right here. And again, we're in the wasteland right now. We have Geiger and we have one of the nuclear knights that we previously met in the other issues of Geiger, teaming up and trying to get more information on a individual that's very similar to Geiger himself. He has some kind of a ability now that he's developed since the nuclear apocalypse and things like that. And I think he's more electric based, and we're trying to get some more information on this person. And of course, in like classic tit for tat kind of scenarios, we have to do this mission real quick before we are given the information on where to go next. And we have to take out this bandit who's basically terrorizing the town, stealing rations, things like that. And we get some really cool dramatic fight scenes on top of this train and stuff like that. And we get to see how Geiger and the nuclear knights work together, right? Or don't work together, so to speak. And we get to learn a little bit more about this bandit as well. And we also get to see this like electrified man towards the end of the book and just how like ruthless he actually can be. But I'm excited for the next issue because we have the return of a beloved character in this universe, and I can't wait for that one. But Geiger issue number 2 continues to be strong. If you liked everything else that they've been putting out so far, you'll love this one. Let me know if you read it down below. All right, let's talk about Energon Universe special issue number 1. Now, we were shorted because they had some kind of widespread damage to issue number 1, but the free comic book day edition is practically the same book. And so we're going to be talking about this one right here. So if you've been following Transformers in the new Energon Universe, you know that Megatron is somewhere right now, right? He's actually being held captive in a way. And so you learn a little bit about how he got into that situation inside of this book. So I would say it is well worth it just for that little short story alone. Some amazing artwork in here. I'm going to show you some pages that aren't necessarily spoiler at all because obviously, you know, Megatron and Optimus have fought in the past, but I'm not going to show you how he gets to where he is at the current moment. You're just going to have to read it yourself because it is awesome. Ryan Otley on the art is doing a great job, kind of like bringing out that Daniel Warren Johnson vibe, the Corona vibe that we've been seeing so far. Even the vibe from Duke and Cobra Commander, they're doing a great job unifying on the artistic approach, and that's carrying over into this as well. So I'm really happy to see that inside this book. There is a Void Rivals short story in here as well that's a little bit less impactful for me, but there's also a Baroness thing in here too. So if you were into that and seeing her kind of like mentality shift a little bit inside of Duke, I think you're going to be excited to see where that character goes from there and the team they're putting together from that perspective. And you know, I got to tell you, I'm really excited to see these G.I. Joe universe books explode as well. We have Destro coming soon, we have Scarlet coming soon, we have Duke and Baroness still around. It's going to be really, really exciting. Let me know if you read this one down below. All right, while we're on Energon, we have Transformers issue number 8, Daniel Warren Johnson. We have Corona and Mike Spicer on this one. So right now we're kind of all licking our wounds at the moment. We have our Decepticons who have just announced their new leader. That was a really dramatic moment in the previous issue. And so now we get to see exactly what their plans are going forward to, I don't know, gain more energy, get more resources, resurrect the next big thing, right? There's always like that next thing that they're chasing. The next thing is going to give them the edge on the Autobots. But speaking of the Autobots, they're trying to play around with some technology right now to get their people back in order. We have Carly going on this like revenge mission right now. She's lost some very important people in her life, and all she sees is red right now. She wants to take the fight right to them, and she actually becomes the apprentice of a very popular Transformer inside of this issue, and I'm really excited to see how that dichotomy is going to work. It sounds like an Anakin that's like losing control, trying to be mentored by this Obi-Wan who's trying to like rein him in but teach him at the same time. So I see like that kind of a battle happening inside here, which has got me really excited. The art continues to be amazing inside this book. And, you know, we also get some hints about how different lives can layer on top of each other, right? Optimus is having these visions right now. What does that mean? We're going to be exploring them going forward. Again, the art is killer inside this book. It is just so good. So Corona's doing an amazing job. Again, balancing that Energon Universe art, just, you know, taking whatever Daniel Warren Johnson did and then adding his own flavor, keeping it very similar. And they're just doing a great job, as I said before, keeping that unified across the board. Now, on the back of this issue, we have a little preview to Scarlet as well. We only get a couple of pages, but it's enough pages to get you hyped for sure. So again, I'm super excited to see this universe expand. Man, go full force, man. That's all I can say. Energon Universe, killing it. What'd you guys think? Let's go over to Ron V's one-hand issue number 4 Image Comics. Now, the Six Fingers previous issue gave us a lot of revelations, and we see those bleeding over into the first few pages of this issue right here. We've been presented with this code, these markings that were left on the wall after these murders were taking place, written in blood. We never knew really exactly what that was. We assumed it was some kind of a language or something written on there, some kind of symbolism, right? And we're getting a little bit of a glimpse of what that actually could mean between these two books, right? We're having these revelations that are bouncing back and forth, and they're having impacts on both issues, on both series. So that's kind of a cool approach to storytelling, so I would recommend checking out both of these series at the same time. Now, and what I really like about these two stories are that the first couple of pages of this book, again, bleeds into the previous issue of Six Fingers, so you can see the crossover, and then it's just like a smooth transition into the next steps of our detective right here, who is a little bit on the run. He's actually been let go, essentially, from the police force. He shouldn't be on this case anymore, but he's so invested on a personal level that he just can't escape it, so he's on the run right now. We have this weird lead with this like cybernetic woman who was a worker at this like brothel or something like that he used to visit quite frequently. And there's something going on there with the way that they like mind wipe those people, but there's some kind of an essence or a core or a being or something, some kind of an old echo that will live on, not only in people, but in these machines as well. So this robot like feels compelled to see him as well. And she's trying to unlock some potential, like hidden potential inside of him that he can't quite understand yet. And then we have this matrix code that basically our killer is being able to see right now. And so we have all these different things happening at the moment. We don't quite make sense of all of it yet. The synapses are firing, but exactly like what it all means, we just don't quite understand just yet. And you know, I will say that an approach to storytelling like this would be a little bit annoying if we didn't get answers at a slow pace as well. You can't just keep building up all this mystery and not making all the connections for the reader like obvious. And I would say that this is riding that fine line of like, okay, there's so much stuff I don't understand. There's so many loose ends that I can't quite paint the picture just yet. So give me a little bit more. I'm hoping that the next issue or two is really going to blow this out. We're on issue number 4, I think, for both of these titles, maybe 3 and 4, something like that. And usually by now we kind of see the writing on the wall, so to speak, and also pun intended. But I found myself still trying to guess like, okay, where are we going? Okay, who's that? How is that connected? What are we going to do next? So that's the only fault for this book, but thematically, from an execution perspective, from just like a enjoyment perspective, I think they're doing a great job bouncing back and forth between these two titles. So check it out if you haven't yet. All right, next in Image Comics, we have The Sacrificers, issue number 8 from Rick Remender. This was a great world-building series, man. They just did such a great job of explaining like the roles and responsibilities for everybody in this universe and the expectations that like culture has for each one of our destinies. And I think this book is a really cool example of like from the Sacrificers' point of view, the role that they have to play in this society for everything to function and what happens when you go against that role, right? And so that was really cool. We had the daughter of the gods, like her trials and tribulations after defying her family and her role and her position. We saw the repercussions of that and everything she had to go through to dig her way out of like the gutter, essentially. This is the exact opposite for our sacrificer here, or it's the same story told from the sacrificer's point of view, the devastation, the destruction that has happened, and that everyone is blaming him because he didn't play his part. You know what I mean? And so this is actually an exploration of that. He's crawling through the mud, the grime, going through all the devastation. She's meeting with all these different people who are basically telling him he's the reason why civilization has fallen and the gods are not answering them. And he's taking things in his own hands right now. He's been imbued with godlike abilities. We saw why in the previous issues. And he's basically saying, you know what, to hell with fate and everything. I'm taking the fight right to them because what more damage could I possibly do, right? And so this was a really cool issue. The last 2 issues were very they're like mirrors of each other, focusing on our 2 different main characters. I can't wait to see what happens when those 2 get back together. It's going to be quite a ride. Sacrificers, beautifully drawn book, very poetic, has a lot to say about culture and society in general. Let me know if you guys are reading it down below. All right, next one we have from Mad Cave Studios, Mugshots, issue number 1. And this one is actually written by Jordan Thomas, art by Chris Matthews. And I remember seeing this one online. I definitely wanted to check it out because I love this just high contrast, minimal color, really straight lined, but still very interesting art style. And of course, like a cover like that, it's just kind of got me interested for sure. So I want to check this one out, see what's going on. A fairly complex story here as well. We have this guy who you know, from what I can understand, he had some ties to the mob, something like that in the past, and he's grown up, he's gone past all of that, but those mob connections are kind of coming back to haunt him as they have abducted his niece, and so now he has to kind of, you know, like get back into the game, and we're getting caught up on what these mobsters or these different characters are all about right now, how ruthless they can be, and just trying to see like all the different connections they have and everything. So this book is like all about just like the family dynamics and, you know, reliving your past and having to pay for the sins of your past. But it also has this really interesting, cool art shift as well. We had this like teal tone. We merge into this like this copper kind of orangey tone. And it only pops in when there's like moments of violence or focusing on the villains. So I think that was a really cool idea from a color perspective. And, you know, it kind of like gives your eyes something different to look at. So again, it's a cool contrast that you notice from page to page, and you kind of know that something serious is about to happen in here. So really complex like family that we have to deal with, a lot of emotions, a lot of history, things like that. And we have like this revenge mission that's kind of spinning up right now. So really, really cool book. If you haven't read Mugshots, try it out. All right, from IDW, we have TMNT, Black, White, and Green. I don't really pick these color issues up a whole lot, but I was flipping through this one and it looked pretty cool. And I will say that it has like 3 or 4 different stories inside of it, and they're all, you know, very short, and there's not a whole lot of time for development or anything like that. I basically just picked it up for the art and just getting him, you know, prepared for Jason Aaron's run, which I'm really excited for. And so there's no real standout story, to be honest with you, in here. It takes like the tropes that we all know, like the character attitudes that we already have, you know, well defined in our minds, and kind of plays into that. And, you know, at the end of the day, everything is fine and dandy, but there's some really cool moments inside these books though. So if you want to flip through it and enjoy the art and then see what the stories are all about, yep, go for it, have fun. But yeah, just get ready for Jason Aaron's TMNT run, because I am really excited for that one. Let me know if you read it down below. All right, so our final book from IDW is Beneath the Trees, Where Nobody Sees, issue number 6 from Patrick Horvath. Now, I've been praising this book every single month it's come out as one of the best books out at that moment, and this is the conclusion of that run right here, so we should be getting a collected format pretty soon. You have to get that collected format if you have not been reading the single issues, because they nailed the ending inside of this book. So, quick recap here. We basically have this Richard Scarry type environment where we have all these anthropomorphic animals living in the city, very quaint, very quiet, pastel-y, watercolory, really non-assuming town right here, right? We actually have this serial killer in here named Sam. She's featured on the cover, and she's been practicing this being a serial killer for quite some time, taking her killings outside of town, then coming back home to like unwind and relax and like live a normal life. One day she's presented with a copycat kind of serial killer challenging her abilities and kind of putting the blame for all these other murders in town on our hero. And so we have this redemption arc in the last couple of issues of Beneath the Trees, and this is the conclusion of that. What happens when 2 serial killers get together, one seasoned veteran versus one brand new one that wants to that has idolized the other one? What happens when those 2 clash? What kind of mayhem can come out? We explore that inside of issue number 6 right here. And what makes this issue so beautiful is the buildup in the past issue. We have this moment where she's really down, right? She's defeated, she's on the run, she doesn't know where to turn, but like she looks inside of herself, pulls out that inner strength, realizes who she was, level sets, clears her mind, and like takes the fight right back to her hometown. And man, it was just such a great book. Leaves a little bit of room for something else to come later. I think it's like a perfect 6-issue story, and we can just leave it up to the imagination, but there's a selfish part of me that wants another story as well. Beneath the Trees, Where Nobody Sees, issue number 6, best book of the week, and one of the best series so far of the year. Let me know if you guys are reading it. All right, guys, so that's all I read this week. Let me know what you picked up and what your favorite books of the week were down below in the comments. While you're down there, like, subscribe, share, hit that bell notification to be alerted whenever I put out new videos. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you in the comments.